Hey aunties, it's Matthew from Minneapolis. What's brewing today?
The speck of salt and the sea of gay pepper.
October 8th. You better wake up and pay attention.
And Dave Chappelle fires up Yo Aunties. So get your cups ready for MinoriTea Report. Synchronized.
Hey,
another week.
aunties.
Hey, y'all.
How y'all
Another
feeling
week.
today?
Ow, 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 ow.
I'm sore right now. Yesterday started volleyball league.
Oh, I was about to say, huh?
Ooh.
Right.
That's the opening line. I'm sore right now.
Yeah. I didn't say what part of me was sore, but
It's
Usually it doesn't
9:30
even matter.
9:30 over there. So it's 9:30 p.m. So I was like,
HBO after dark.
HBO after dark.
But no, like my knees. I've just had bad knees forever. And volleyball does it to you. And it stopped that look. It's not from
You
nothing
keep
nasty.
setting these up, girl. You
I
keep
know.
setting us up.
Alley-oop. I'm John Stockton. Stockton-ing. That's hard to say. But no, like, I never play middle. Usually I play outside. And our whole team is outside. So they're like, okay, Kerel, you're the tallest on the team. You be middle. Let's try these different rotations, blah, blah, blah. Middle be a workout.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Woo. I was like, I haven't played middle in so long. And bitch, by the end, and it was hot in the gym. It's still like high 90s here in Atlanta.
Oh, fuck no.
You know, those gyms don't be having circulation or nothing like that.
You just be sweating.
They just have high ceilings. That's
seriously.
all. Stagnant air and high ceilings.
It was too much. So,
I love playing middle when I've been like lazy all day, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll play middle because I ain't did nothing today, and I need this cardio because it's a lot of running
It's
back from side
cardio
to side
for
from
sure.
each pin. It's just a lot.
It's a lot.
And then if you play back row too, whoo, child.
Too much. And luckily we have 7 people. So like we rotate out after I serve.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. If you guys going to put me in middle, I can at least do that. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
good.
But the worst is when you
bitch.
play middle and they don't be setting you.
Right.
Look, I've literally been like, I literally just stopped and be like, I'm not doing sit if you ain't gonna give me some of this damn ball. I'm not doing nothing.
No, our setter was divvying it up nicely. But yeah. So we went 3-1 last night. So that was good.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah.
good. So start of the season is usually about 8 weeks, I think.
Okay.
So get back into things because I took the summer off from playing volleyball. So getting back in the swing of things. But I'm sore today for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it's been a rough one because we started our volleyball season last night too. I coach high school volleyball community at a high school out here on the varsity level, and it was our very first match of the season. The first set, we beat these girls 25-7.
Ooh.
25-7. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, this is gonna be a quick night.
Yeah.
Bitch, why we win in 5, 15,
Oh,
13?
That's how it be.
When I tell you, these girls did, it was up and down. It was up and down. But my ladies pulled it out. It's the first match of the season. It's a good way to just set the standard, set a bar, and it's just going to only go up from here. But
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's good. But that was varsity or JV?
varsity.
Love it.
Yeah. So I was proud of my girls. So
How long are the season for volleyball? How long is it?
so
like?
we started like the week before Labor Day here, and we'll go until like the second week of November. And that's just
okay.
regular season. And then state is literally the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't remember how long those seasons were.
Yeah. I know, like, it all depends, out there
Right.
but in each state. But
That's cool.
yeah, but now she's doing good, though. She can't complain. I mean, we're recording y'all on 9/11, so it's also been one of those kind of weird days where, like, you want to be happy, but at the same time, like, everyone remembers, 9/11. Like, even I had to post today because I remember being in, like, my actual history class in 8th grade, and Mr. Owen.
I know you posted that. I was like, damn, I was old.
Yeah.
I was like, 8th grade. I was like, shit, how many years between us? Shit.
Yeah, but I was in Mr. Owen's class, and I just remember him being like, my job as your history teacher is to teach you history, and you will remember this for the rest of your
And
life.
you're living in it in the moment.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Just like it was yesterday. Like, I remember all my classmates that were in that class with me. I remember like looking at the clock, looking at the time, like I just shoot. And that was back then too, where they had the TVs.
They roll it in.
That it rolled in with the VCR on the other end.
That's right. I know where I was because I had second hour. I was student council president, so I had second hour office aide. So I was in the back room in the office watching MTV. So I was watching morning videos, and they cut in. And so I remember where I was. Like, I had my feet up on the chair. I was lounging. I was like, hey, senior year in high school, whatever, what's up? And lounging and literally watched both of them hit live. Or after the first one hit, and then saw the second one hit live because MTV had cut into it. And I remember also about that day is we had a calculus test that we got out of because the teacher was like, okay, today's just crazy. We don't need to be doing all this stuff. We need to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. So those are the two major things. And then the third one I remember that day, Fabulous and Jay-Z's albums dropped. Jay-Z's
You know what? Hold on.
But it's weird how you remember certain stuff about that day, though. It's weird.
I don't even know how your mind could remember that. Or
no,
even
I remember exactly because me and my friend Jim we were going to go to the mall, but they closed the mall. And so we had to go to Best Buy across the street, and they were still open. That's how we got the Jay-Z. And I said Luda, or did I say Fabulous? It's Fabulous and Jay-Z. Both of their albums came out the same day, and it was Jay-Z's Blueprint, and it was Fabulous' first album. So it's weird how silly stuff like that still stays in your mind. And the only reason why it probably stayed in my mind is because the mall was closed due to 9/11. So there was just like everyone thought, what's going on? So certain businesses closed down. So that's what really popped up in my head, and why it's probably still a marker in my head. So yeah, it's weird. But
I was facilitating. I was like a trainer, and not like in a gym, but in an office. I was working for JP Morgan Chase at the time, and I was training this like 6-week like home equity mortgage customer service training class or whatever. And we were right in the middle of some kind of like ice breaking activity that, you know, I had squoze in there, and somebody knocked on the door and said, there's something going on. You guys need to see this. And then me and 30 people came out of the training room to watch. Okay, you know what?
You know, this girl, community, so Fiznik has jumped on here. So now what this means is Corey's going to do the same thing.
He already said he's about to barge into the room.
Yeah.
Community, like Corey wants to be on an episode so
Fiznik
bad.
got a wig on, y'all, community. He is on the camera right now.
So we're about to have a husband's episode really soon so they could get this out their system so they can feel like they've been seen and heard because each week. And we're here we are talking about like a serious conversation.
Talking about 9/11.
I know, talking about 9/11. Here she comes.
And here she comes, rocking through the background like a candy drop.
Exactly.
With her rainbow Fifth Element wig on.
See, we created a drag daughter over there.
Right.
That's too funny.
But yeah, Lord. You know, like thoughts, you know, still prayers go out to the family still affected because it's life changing. It seriously is, and it just makes me happy to hear. What was the guy that talked to Congress to continue the fund for the family?
Stewart.
John Stewart.
John Stewart. Yeah, for him to work with Congress on getting that, you know, fund to continue to go to those families. So
I know Corey hates talking about it because he lived in New York when it happened, and he said he was in Manhattan when it happened, and he lived in Brooklyn at the time. So obviously, if you remember, they shut down all like the subways. You couldn't get in and out of the island. So if you lived outside of Manhattan, Corey had to walk from Midtown to Brooklyn. He said he had to walk across the bridge. And then if you cross the Brooklyn Bridge, you see the towers at the time. So he's like, all I saw was smoke and this and that. So it's almost a traumatizing thing for him to speak about still because he lived it. Like even when we went back to New York to like do touristy stuff recently, I wanted to go to the memorial and he refused to go. He's like, why would I relive that day? Like I literally was there. So it's just interesting the different dynamics that people have from that day and the impact and the scars of it, honestly, from that day.
Yeah. I remember I was that same week. I was the weekend of that when that happened. I flew out to New York, and I remember talking to my mom on the phone. She's like, because every time I would travel, I would always, you know, call her and tell her like where am I going, what I'm doing, when I'm coming back, and all that stuff. And she's like, why are you going? Like, it's just, you just don't know what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mom, you know, flying in an airplane is the safest mode of travel, out of anything. And even though this thing happened, I'm not about to miss out on going to New York.
Right? I know. It's just like, you don't want to change your life, but I remember, it changed it in certain ways.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was just, I was, in my 20s and young and stupid and, just wanted to go out and, have fun and, and whatever. But I do remember when we got here, obviously there wasn't a lot that was like, almost all of downtown was closed down, and there was still smoke in the air from, not smoke, just dust in the air from the buildings that had crumbled. And I just remember, people walking around and, with face masks on. And this was a week after, they were still so many people that they hadn't, that they were still trying to find out of the rubble and try to match up. And, if anything, I know that this was like last week, that 9/11 occurred, in terms of timing. But I think if anything, it just continues to remind us that, time is precious and that we should be making every opportunity to make the biggest impact that we can, in our lives and in the lives of the biggest positive impact, I should say, in our lives and the lives of other people, because tomorrow isn't promised. So,
yeah, I agree. Did y'all catch that Apple preview this week, by the way?
Sure did.
Yes.
Okay, so are y'all gonna get it? Because I know one of y'all posted that we want the 2020 version.
Oh, me? That was me. We want the 20. I mean, it's the same damn phone that added a camera.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Let's be all the way real here.
When Dewan said he was excited for the night vision, I was like, girl, what you doing in the dark?
What you doing at night?
What you doing in the dark, girl?
Like, I want to see all of it.
Look, what you do in the dark will come to the light, okay?
in night mode. Seriously, they literally want us to upgrade, and it's been the same design for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had the same design for the 10, then they had the same design for the 10S Max and all that. Then here it is 11, and it's the same damn design again, and they added a camera. That's it.
But didn't they also break
now.
resistance and like the water resistant 2 thing is like a
that was on last
thing?
year's. I have last year's. Like, all that was on last year's. They just hyped it up
really?
Again.
Oh damn!
See, I don't upgrade my phone every year, so
okay, there you go.
Because for me, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So like, if for every 2 years, I feel like it's worth it. So like this year, I'm going to upgrade my phone. I have the 10, and so I'll get the 11. But.
Girl, you should wait till next year, because next year they already have the. It's crazy how many people know.
I really can't wait until next year because my phone is broke on the back. So
okay, yeah, you need to. You can't be looking extra crazy.
That's because
what you do to your phone?
Because she be sitting on it. She be putting it in her back pocket. I know a booty crack screen when I see one, girl.
That's that night mode. That's why he want night mode. He be dropping it too much in the dark. That's why you want night mode. Okay, I see. Your phone dropped too many times in the bedroom.
You know what's funny is I never have a case on my phone. I don't know. Do you guys have cases on your phones?
Oh, she brave. Yes, ma'am, I do.
I have a clear one, so I can still see the phone, and then
that's still a case.
For me, it's all about the screen protector. Screen protector.
I've never had a case for any of my phones ever. I mean, I purchased them, but I just don't use them. And in part because I'm careless with a lot of like electronics and things. And so clearly. This is the only, I've only had two phones in the entire time that I've had iPhones, which is ever since they've been out. I've only had 2 phones that I've ever broken, just because the design of it was so slippery that it would just fall out of my hands. But all the other phones, I never had any issues with it. Never dropped them. I only buy like really expensive sunglasses because I really take care of them. If I bought like, cheap $20 sunglasses or whatever, I would just like throw them around and not really take care of them. And, I literally only have like I think I have two pair of sunglasses, but I really take care of them just like my phone because.
Wait, just like your phone? Yeah. I'm lost. Because your phone cracked the shit, boo.
But I've had this phone for like, a year and a half.
Years.
So, yeah.
Right.
So, okay, I don't
know where this conversation going then, because that phone look crazy.
It's just first of all, it's just the back. Well, okay, I can't even lie.
The question is, when you be swiping, do you be cutting your fingers? Do you get the little glass pieces in your finger when you be working your screen?
You know what had happened was we went to Long Island for a weekend with our friends Peter and Stuart. They have a house out there, brand new house, beautiful house they just built or whatever. And I was getting ready to take a shower, and I forgot that I had my phone in my PJ pockets. So I'm getting undressed to like get ready to take a shower, and the phone falls out of my PJ pockets because PJ pockets are really shallow. And it falls out onto their marble floors.
Them, so I don't know.
Okay, it falls on the backside. What? What'd you say?
I said I don't wear them, so I don't know.
It's like, oh, natural, boo. Sleep naked. Do you sleep naked? I know this is sidebar. Do you sleep naked?
No, I sleep in my underwear.
Do you?
Also, actually, no. Sometimes I do like to sleep naked. I really do.
But most of the time, I get hot.
I get hot too. I also feel like I'm getting like choked because I roll around a lot too.
Yeah.
So like with the shirt, I get stuck and I can't do it. No.
I always feel like I hurt myself when I like sleep naked. So just can't be, Anyway,
you need to be contained.
Look, the community. Everyone in the community is like, how does this work? How do you hurt yourself? They're like,
it's like what you rolling
if you're
on,
flipping
girl.
and flopping around, because I fall asleep on my back, and then I end up on my side, but then I wake up on my back. So
everyone's thinking about your penis right now. Everyone is thinking about your penis right now.
Right.
Okay, you know what?
Everyone.
They're like, flipping and flopping. Okay, now.
We went from iPhone to penises.
Right. It's like, we don't give a damn about the no iPhone now. Shit, we talking about penises.
iPhone event's over.
Fuck the iPhone.
What a way to start a Monday morning. Listen, I'm looking at the agenda of the stuff we were supposed to be talking about today, and this is not
and we
on
ain't
the
hit
list.
none of them yet. Actually, none of the iPhones on the agenda.
Ain't none about Dewan's penis on this list anywhere. Nowhere.
I do not see this in my pamphlet.
No, my God. Add this to the minutes.
Oh, Lord. All right. Which color phone are you going to get? And then we'll move on for Apple. I like the green one that they launched, the midnight green.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't like the yellow. I feel like it's a little too bubblegum candy for me.
Right. Wait, so are you going to do the iPhone 11?
I think I'm going to do the
like the Pro series.
I don't think I'm going to do the Pro series. I don't like the three.
It looks like an electric razor.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't know. I mean, I have to see it in person. If I do go with the Plus, then I would probably go with like the gold, maybe.
Got it.
Yeah, the gold or the black. I'm a minimalist, so I'm not really into the colors. So
yeah. I'll probably get it just because I'm on iPhone's program, so I could get a new phone every year. But literally, I'm like, and it's not even a hassle to get it, honestly. But there's like no point this year. Honestly, it doesn't have 5G. It doesn't have wireless charging where you could charge your other phones or AirPods or whatever. It doesn't have USB-C. They're just now catching up on their photography stuff. So like for a while now, iPhone at the beginning was lagging. They were like winning, and now they're lagging on a lot of stuff. And Samsung has passed them up. A lot of companies have passed them up on like just new technology. So that's why I keep saying buy the 2020, because they're already thinking next year's going to be the big one from insider information. So everyone's looking at this year like, okay, whatever. If I need a new phone, okay, I'm going to go get it. But if you just upgraded last year, there's no need for it.
I just got the XR. I just got the XR this year, and I'm good. I'm waiting to. I think that's the whole point.
I think that's the whole point. Like, if you just got a phone, let's say a year ago, there's no incentive. Like me, I purposely, when I got the X, when the new XR came out, I was like, there's no point for me to like get that phone. It's just like a slight upgrade from this. But to go from the X to the 11 or the 11 Plus is a pretty big jump in terms of like functionality and all that. So it would be worth it. Plus, she got some cracks. So. Yeah,
that shows black does crack in some instances.
Okay,
because that phone is fucked up. But anyway, this week's episode or last week's episode, we had a lot of replies to. Go ahead.
Before we go there, we just need to say a quick shout out to Matthew for today's opening.
That's right,
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you for bringing us in today. I missed you, great. Matt. Like for real, come out to Seattle. If y'all don't follow, we need to post about. Oh, she was a cutie of the week.
She was a cutie.
Yeah, she was a cutie of the
week. Yes. Community, go check her out because the girl can sing too. She
Yes,
got some. She
and
got
he's
some posts
handsome.
on it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna need another intro with a little bit of harmonies and melodies
I know.
attached to
I'm
it.
tired of
Okay.
these people saying they can sing and then they ain't singing in their intros. Y'all better
Right.
step your game up now. I ain't
Yeah.
playing. Come on now. So if you haven't done an intro or you want to redo an intro, let us
Yes.
know, and
Hit
we want
us
to hear
up.
some singing.
Because we're just now getting to some of the ones that we got way back in like what April, I want to
April,
say.
May. Mhm.
Yep.
April or June, because we had quite a few when we first, started collecting these. But, now that people have kind of like starting to feel themselves a little bit and get a little bit more comfortable with them voice apps, I'm telling you, baby, this fall is going to be lit because we got some
There's some good
doozies.
ones.
Y'all are having a lot of fun and we are loving it. A lot of sass and a
Yes.
lot of spice.
Yeah.
And another clarification as well. We've learned, don't send them if you record it in a DM in Instagram, because there's no way for us to save it. So what we've had to do is kind of like put it up to the microphone and things for a couple of them. So if you have a voice app on your phone, that's the best way. Then save it to your phone, then send it to us, either an email or DM that way. Just don't utilize the recorder that's in the Instagram settings, because there's no way
It's
for us
horrible.
to save it. So
It's really horrible. But
Just put it
Matthew,
blank.
back to Matthew. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
that
you,
intro.
boo.
We loved it. Thank you.
Yes.
It was a long time coming, but we got there, boo.
Exactly. But last week's not even the ask your auntie portion, the conversation we got into after the ask your aunties. And if you don't remember, last week ask your aunties was talking about how a gay man was hitting on a straight guy, and we gave our thoughts on that. But then it kind of migrated into another subject that Jarrell brought up, was how do we feel about women in gay bars? And that seemed to touch a little chord with a couple people. And they sent us our replies, and we want to share that because it was just
Yeah.
interesting, their thought processes on that subject as well. And I know, Jarrell, you have one, I have one.
Yeah.
So we'll get into them.
Yeah. So one of my good Judies out here in Seattle, Garris, had wrote to us and said, as someone who has worked in gay bars as a go-go dancer, barback, and bartender, I would like to give my opinion about women in gay bars. There is never a problem with women coming into the bars. Most of the time, I end up dancing with a couple of them because they are fun. However, the women that they are talking about, Kerel and Duan, that has put a bad taste in their mouths are the ones that come in and just treat it as a place they can trash and then just leave because it's not their space. They come to bars to escape predatory-like men, then flip and become the predators. They grab and grow people. While I was a go-go dancer, I tried to walk across the bar and they would grab my dick or pull back the back of my underwear down. Also, them constantly asking, are you straight? And when you say no, they would give you the, well, that's a shame statement. It's those girls that people are annoyed by because those specific girls have made it to where we feel uncomfortable and we get defensive and we have to clean up after them. I don't agree with no bridal parties at gay bars, but make sure they are respectful. Being respectful goes to the gays as well. Stop getting drunk and putting holes in the walls and dropping glasses.
Not holes in the walls.
And,
Right.
and that pretty much I think that actually summed up kind of all three of our perspectives as far as, just etiquette and bars and gay bars,
Period.
and respecting the space and each other's. And then also gays being respectful in gay spaces too, because some of these girls don't got no common sense either, and be acting a plump ass fool and then wonder why they catching hands.
Yeah. I like how he said how they leave straight bars because they feel like they're preyed upon, but then become the predators at gay bars. And I think that was, at least from my perspective, what I was trying to relay out there is that, like, I get that they came here for a safe space. However, you now are no longer respecting us and our space.
Right.
And so that's all I was trying to relay. So that's an interesting perspective as a go-go dancer. And then we also got another one that says, hey, aunties, I wanted to share my opinion regarding women in gay bars. As someone who's able to navigate both mainstream, straight and gay bars, I think mainstream bars need to do a better job of making them safe for the LGBT community, not really the other way around. I rarely feel discomfort in a gay or lesbian bar, but feel great discomfort in straight bars, and I think that's where the real issue lies. It's nice of you all to open up that space to women, but it's not your job to make them feel comfortable. It's everyone's job. So that's another perspective of like, okay, I feel safe in my own environment, but on the flip side, the straight bars, I'm not feeling as comfortable. So yeah, we just love these perspectives that you guys are providing and these replies to these conversations. I don't know, Dewan, what were your thoughts on these 2 replies that they gave us?
I thought they were spot on. And really hit on the nerve that, I don't think any one of us are trying to overgeneralize a whole population of, like, all girls or women, I should say. But it's really about certain special circumstances. And honestly, it's really about just respecting wherever you are and wanting a place where you can feel comfortable. And that's a 2-way street. Just doesn't go one way.
Yeah.
And, when I was reading that, like it says regarding HET women, I'm like, what's HET women? So I just said women. It means hetero women.
Yeah.
It took me a second. I was like, hold on, what does that mean? So anyway, but yes. Yeah. So thank you. And these are great conversations. And it actually kind of leads me to one that I want to ask you guys on.
About October 8th?
Not even October 8th, but white men in gay, black, I guess, how do I even phrase it? So here in Atlanta, Bulldogs is a gay, predominantly black POC gay bar. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend that felt like he couldn't go to this bar because he's a white male. And then also he said, because I don't really date POCs, like his type of specific, which is a whole nother conversation for a whole other day. Right. But the point is, he didn't feel comfortable going to that bar because I was like, oh, you could have came with Corey and I. He's like, no, I couldn't have.
Stay his ass at home.
Oh, okay. So that's
no,
interesting.
Stay your ass at home. First of all, if you ain't about that life, don't come. Point blank. If you ain't about that life, don't come. If your clientele, the people you are into or whatever, ain't a POC, then why is a POC place even on your radar? Like, you don't see us to begin with. If we're not on the menu, then go to a different restaurant. Point blank. I do not feel bad. Don't come to my restaurant and be like, I don't like your menu.
Right.
Like, no.
I need one of those Funk Flex bombs dropping sound effects or meow, 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 shots fired.
At first, I thought the person was maybe like, was feeling bad because they're white going to a POC, a queer POC space. But if they're not even into POC people, I'm like, no. Right, like, you don't even get to feel some kind of way. Like,
yeah. And honestly, I took it as, I was like, why wouldn't you be able to go? Like, it's a gay bar. I mean, you could go to any bar, honestly, but it's a gay bar, so you should feel comfortable because it's still your community. But he just felt like he would be looked or frowned upon walking in that bar. And maybe his point too, which I didn't gather that maybe from what Jarrell just said too, is since he knew he doesn't date people of color, maybe that energy is just all on him, and people will look at him crazy like, okay, what are you doing here there if you're not really looking to hook up or anything like that? But for me, I was like, okay, you could come with friends. You could come with Corey and I. Like,
I just never understand. I just never understand the logic of like, oh, I didn't think that I could do fill in a blank. Like, I don't like. It's so foreign to me. It's so foreign to me to ever feel like I can't. Like, there may be places that may be uncomfortable, but like the idea that you can't go somewhere because you are, black
a minority now,
or or a minority in that instance, like to me, it's such a foreign concept. Like, I've never in my life, like even when I was like young and trying to be straight to the best of my ability with shoulder length curly hair and being a fashion design student at Kent State University. Like I could never imagine saying to myself, oh, I don't think that I should go there or can go there. I mean, it's so foreign to me.
I mean, like, I would say, look at it this way. I bet it's more from a race perspective than anything else.
It was.
Because there have been times, and I'm sure you guys have been in rural areas in the Midwest before, where you maybe you driving through Ohio and you stop at the restaurant, you stop at the gas station, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna have to pee real quick, and I need to get the fuck up out of here. Like,
I dare somebody to say
and my
something
reply
to
to
me.
him was, I was like, I was like, what's the difference of you going there than me going to 10 every Sunday fun day with you guys? And literally, I'm one of the 3-4 black people here. And it gave him a second of pause, honestly. He was like, okay, you right. I was like, so it shouldn't, I was like, and I get it, a lot of times it's harder for the reverse because you don't have that many gay black bars and gay POC bars out there. So I get maybe the difference and the discomfort there slightly. I don't know. But that was my rebuttal to him. I was like, it shouldn't be, it doesn't matter. Like literally every Sunday fun day, you guys want to go to 10 and literally it's like, either white twinks or white older men.
No, but we have to keep in mind though that there are people in our own community that feel like white people feel when it comes to white only. There are black folks who feel that it's black only and et cetera too, like that have issues with white people, that have issues with interracial relationships. Like it exists. So we can't not look at this as that being a possibility because I've been to several places in both the South and even in DC. Hell, even Seattle and Minneapolis where I've been in interracial relationships and a black person has said something that almost got them fucking knocked the fuck out, because of the fact that they didn't like seeing a brother with a white person, So it happens in our community. And I'm not going to knock someone from feeling like that because it does happen. Sure. It absolutely does happen. It definitely does. And so I understand if that is his perspective. But if you're not even looking for us, why the fuck are you even there? Why are you there? If you're not checking for a POC, why are you concerned about being in the POC space?
Yeah, and he's not.
Exactly. So those feelings were for nothing. That was for nothing. That was somebody just trying to poor me. No, keep it moving, girl. Bye, Susie Q.
Oh, okay then. And there you have it. So yeah, it was just interesting that the last couple of weeks these kind of conversations have come up, and it's kind of a similar vein because, like Dewan said, you should feel comfortable going wherever. You should feel free to go wherever you want to. However, some people, especially in the communities, especially with probably even more so in a POC community, because we sometimes don't feel welcome in a mainstream gay bar because we don't see ourselves represented. Like we don't see it represented in the clientele. We don't see it represented in the music. We don't see it represented on the posters that they put out every week, etc. So a lot of people at maybe a specific kind of gay bar would potentially look at you crazy because it's just like, we finally have once again a place that we feel respected and seen and heard, etc. As long as you come in, like Jarrell's saying now, and admiring us and wanting to be with us and being part of the community, come on in, boo.
Yeah,
but if you're not checking for us, I can kind of see that angle as well.
I mean, like, why are you gonna go to an Italian restaurant and ask for Chinese food? Bitch, that ain't on the menu. Like,
there are some Chinese places that do.
No, but I mean, like, but when it's an Italian restaurant, all they doing is selling Italian. Like, don't come up in here ask for something else. Like, you know exactly what you're coming here for. Like,
I think there's also like some geographical like elements that's at play, because if you really think about it, and I don't know what the situation is in Atlanta in terms of like how the gay bars are situated, but like, I know in our last podcast we talked about like the idea of like neighborhoods and how, you have certain areas that have clusters of bars, which make it really easy for you to like do a little bit of bar hopping. But usually, those are in more white neighborhoods, right? And the bars represent the clientele, because geographically those are the people that are closest.
These bars are in the same area here, at least in Atlanta. Like Bulldogs is like 2 blocks down the road from the quote unquote whiter bars. So it's like literally you could hop from one to the other. It's that a lot of people just choose not to go to Bulldogs.
Again, that exacerbates the whole point of like, why is this even like a question? Like, it just, for me, I can't compute this. Like, you can't, like, the idea that you can't go into a bar that's predominantly black it doesn't make sense to me at all. Now, would you feel uncomfortable? That's a different story. That's a different story than you can't go. Like, you can't go means you do not belong there.
I think that's probably more so what he was referring to, like, can't go as an uncomfortable because it wouldn't feel right to him. Not saying that he would get turned down or he is not allowed actually in there. I don't think that's where he was coming from.
He might get turned on, and that's what he was afraid of.
Ow.
Oh.
Let that sit in for a minute.
and I don't want to throw him under the bus at all because he's a great guy. Actually, I will.
He got some crazy ass stories. He's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a good guy. I know him too. He's a good guy.
And his friend group is very eclectic too. So it's not like he's just completely in a white space. Just his dating life is very particular, and even in the white space, it's very particular. So. Anyway, but I don't want that to come across that I'm throwing him under the bus because he's a great friend, he's a great person. But it was just curious when that conversation came up, that was his reply. And I'm like, oh, let me ask Jarrell and DeJuan about this because it was just interesting to me that he felt that way. And then and part of me too is like, is there something that I'm putting out there to make him even feel like that he couldn't do that, you know? And so like it was just an interesting thought process on that. So
yeah. Well, I would like to transition to something that's a little bit more important, and the reason why we have these spaces, and that's October 8th. That's coming up with the voting, not the voting,
Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court, the cases that are about to be heard in the Supreme Court about discrimination in the workplace based off of sexual orientation. And community, you guys, we have posted this on our page, so please go and read the article. Maybe we'll repost it again on Monday when this episode is out. But basically, there will be 3 separate cases being orally presented to the Supreme Court. They basically all will be kind of put into one, and basically it's going to be discussed if certain states have the right to discriminate in the workplace based off of
and whether
sexual
workers can be
orientation.
fired for being LGBTQIA.
Yep,
honestly.
exactly.
Because there's certain states have mandates where they can't.
I think it's like
and they can't.
50%. Yeah,
Right.
I think it's like 50%.
But there's nothing on the federal level at all.
Yep, nothing on the everything is state level right now. So this is a huge game changer, everyone, because if it's going to be on the federal level, that means that's how it is for the whole country.
Exactly.
And that means all the work that we've done to kind of like get rid of like toxic masculinity, and all the work that we've done as far as like getting people to own their truth and who they really are, like all that's going to be undone just by this one simple thing, because now when you go to work to maintain a job, you're going to have to act a particular way, or they can get rid of you just for that. And you could be a great worker and fuck up one time, and they blame it on that one thing. They only need one reason to get you out of that, and that can be it. So I want everyone to pay attention, write to your congressmen, like your congresswomen, and we need to raise the voice on this, because this
It
is
needs to be
huge.
vocal. It needs to be seen. It needs to be heard big time.
Absolutely.
Because I feel maybe a lot of people outside the LGBTQIA plus communities, they probably don't even know this is coming up, honestly. And we're going to need more people than our community to speak up about this.
Especially our allies.
Yes.
Especially our allies.
Because y'all ain't about to fire me just for being gay. Come on now.
No.
Be out of there.
I think that's good. As much as this is like an important issue, I do think that's there's going to be like an uphill battle if, for whatever reason, the Supreme Court does not uphold like this notion of anti-discrimination, because that's essentially what this is. Because the backbone behind this is this right-wing conservative Christian views based point of view on like values and what we as a nation should value. And it's not representative of the culture that we have. And quite frankly, you've seen how states have pushed back on any company or legislation that has stripped away rights. And we've been seeing it. So I don't think I'm hopeful and optimistic that it's not going to go anywhere. And I totally support the idea that we just need to continue to be aware. Just like we fall into these ideas of what these fads are, we need to have that same kind of energy when it comes to protecting our rights and knowing what things are happening, when they're happening, and how you can step in and make sure that your voice is heard so that your rights are protected.
Yeah. And I will say one thing though. I would just suggest people not err on the side of, oh, this is just going to blow over, this isn't going to be that big of a deal. because we all thought the same fucking thing about Trump. And now here we are with tomorrow, they're about to be another primary. Well, actually, now that this aired, this was last Thursday, there being a primary. And it's still up in the air as far as who's going to be the Democratic, who could possibly be the Democratic Party nominee, and if they can even beat Trump. There's a lot going on, just a lot. And we cannot afford to just think about it, pray about it, send thoughts and prayers. We need to be active, not just vocal. We got to be about it. Just everyone does.
Vote.org. Make sure you're registered. Please make sure you're registered. And especially in the last couple of years, like I know people are like, okay, Kerel, you say this every episode, but especially in the last couple of years, because there's been measures, especially here in Georgia, where they'll get rid of voter records and voter, like maybe you're registered 10 years ago and they will write you out the book since you haven't voted in 10 years. And you think you're registered and you show up next year and they don't find your name in the books. So double check. It literally takes a minute. You go to vote.org, you put your name in there, and it shows if you're registered or not. So
and
it's
this one's
so
hard
easy.
because it's not on. And this one's hard because it's not on us. It's on the Supreme Court. And if I believe
Right.
in the going on 3 years that he's been in office, he has appointed 2 Supreme Court people, I believe. Right.
And then we haven't even talked about the people across the country that they've put into places and judges. Like that's kind of like even a bigger deal, honestly, because literally him and McConnell have put hundreds of new judges.
It's like 300 plus.
Yes.
Into positions since Trump has been in as the president.
Yeah.
So that's why I heart voting so heavy, because it starts at your local level, like your local judges and things like that are in these systems for decades. We need to put great people into place at these lower levels that in 20 years, we get the right person on the Supreme Court. We get the right person in these
October
places.
8th. I just was clarifying for October 8th. This isn't about voting. This is actually about the Supreme Court. And that was the point. But I completely agree. Everyone still needs to register to vote. We need to get out there. We need to be heard. And we just can't sit still anymore, y'all. Because
and then if you have room in your car and you know somebody, they ain't got a car to get to the polls, drive their ass to the poll. Like there's ways that even at our local area that we can all contribute to getting these voting records up next year to record levels, because you always hear every like major cycle that only like 50% of the people are voting. Like that's crazy. Don't talk to me about nothing if you haven't voted then. Like you can't complain about nothing. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to see you, because you had the opportunity to do it. And it is easy to do. Vote.org, people. I'm telling you, it's crazy to me. So October 8th, pay attention. It's scary in a way. Like it really is, because it's just like
we're living in our own world. We live in our own like version of Handmaid's Tale at this point. It's really like the writing is on the wall, and our liberties are being stripped away from us.
We ain't talking about Destiny's Child.
The writing on the wall.
You know what? See,
we ain't talking about Latavia.
I'm done.
Lord.
But speaking of black girls, Destiny Child, did y'all watch Black Girls Rock last week?
Yes. I take that back. I recorded it, and then it kept like the different clips kept on going onto my YouTube recommend. So I caught a lot of the clips on my YouTube and stuff.
That's
actual recording.
So that's
not the live event. No, but I caught the clips on YouTube.
I did, and I did not watch the entire thing. I'll be 100% honest. I've been watching The Sopranos. And it's
girl.
I've never seen it before, so I started from season 1 and just been binging. And every night I'm banging out like 4 or 5 episodes.
You banging out who?
We already had a conversation about my phone, so we can leave that alone. So, like, I haven't watched the whole thing, and it's sitting in my DVR, but I did catch quite a few of the clips. And I have to say, like, Angela Bassett accepting the Icon Award.
What a speech.
That spoke to my soul.
Oh,
literally spoke to my soul.
Mine too.
It was so thoughtful. It was so sincere.
Empowering.
It was so inspiring. And it was like an aspirational moment. You know, she was really able to like crystallize the whole purpose for Black Girls Rock as an awards celebration, and really kind of crystallize what it meant in that moment for the people in the audience. And I think that really connected with folks.
Yeah, for me, it reminded me a lot of like the feels I would get from listening to like Maya Angelou speak or like Oprah
Or
giving some wisdom.
Oprah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was just, I mean, it was like a direct line to my soul and my spirit. And I was just like, I'm not a black girl, but I fucking rock. Like it was just like
Yeah.
I felt it, and I could just only imagine what the love feels like in that room.
Hmm.
And watching that is what I hope one day we can create if we do like a ball every year, like
Exactly.
just that space of love and coming together and just having acceptance and just living in your truth and just being
And living in your cocoa butter melanin.
yes,
Like her arms are glistening, that afro she had.
it was
And
just
I loved how
beautiful.
Regina Hall bigged her up so heavy. Like Regina Hall was like so happy to give the award to Angela Bassett. And I just
She was
love
that
seeing
hype
that
master
energy.
on the stage.
Right?
She was.
And she had her box braids in. I was
Yes,
like,
come on, Poetic
Regina.
Justice. I was like, come on.
So I just love people supporting each other that way. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be jealous of no one. You don't have to try to condescend them. We're all in this together. And I'm a big up my sister like this. And you know what? Because I love her. She's done great work, et cetera, et cetera. I loved seeing that.
And that's what I liked about Regina's speech too, is because she thanked all the black girls in her life that she has worked with, her family, whatever that has helped her get through, get to where she is
Exactly.
today. And I was like,
So both of them.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The performances were cute. I found me some new people that I was like, okay, all right, Kiana Lede, like I see you. Okay, Ari Lennox, I see
Ari
you.
Lennox is dope.
She is
Check
dope.
her album
I was
out.
like, I'm gonna have to
Her
peep
album
her.
is
So-
very good.
yeah, so like I was like, okay, and then Monica came out there and she did her
Woo!
thing.
Oh,
I
and
was
see,
like-
hold on. A few episodes ago, it might have been 5 episodes ago, I talked about that Commitment Monica song, and y'all looked at me like I was crazy. That's the song she sang at the
Okay.
Black Girl Rock.
I didn't see her.
She did her thing. I wasn't like overly impressed. I didn't know the song, so I was kind of like, okay. I mean, like she sounds good. Like you can hear Monica. Like she don't sound like she fading away or anything like that.
Exactly.
Like,
she sounds like
she-
exactly like Monica.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I did not like her outfit. I don't know what these two big ass bows on her shoulder pads that she had with these flared out like
Her fashion choice is very Atlanta.
Yeah.
Girl, she
It is
you,
very
you know
Atlanta.
those red
It's very
Christmas
Atlanta.
bows. You know
Everything
those red
is
Christmas bows
exaggerated.
that you tie on to like the fucking tree. It was exactly like that, but it was black. It
Yeah,
was like that
you're right.
same velvet material and everything. It was
What
just,
is this,
it was a
velvet?
no.
Her makeup was slayed, though. Her makeup,
Her makeup
on
was laid.
point.
Her makeup.
She
Yeah, her
always
voice was
looks
on point.
great from
Yeah.
the neck up.
Yeah.
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 But the outfit, not so much.
No.
Her fashion choices have been quite suspect for a long time. It's almost like she goes to like her cousin or her
Oh,
auntie
stop.
You know
and has
Ooh.
and like
Don't
and
do
it's like-
her cousin and
like-
auntie that way.
because it's always like there's one too many tricks. It's almost like you just need to pull like 2 things. You put all the stuff on and then take like 7 things away.
Yeah.
and
It's
then
like,
it'll
Monica,
be
take at
perfect.
least one poof off. Just one
'Cause-
poof.
She'll show up there and they'll just be like, I remember I saw her on like the Wendy Williams show at some point, and she had like an eagle's claw in gold, like on one shoulder.
I saw that.
And then 14 different kinds of pins on like the back of her like bolero jacket or whatever. And then these really bizarre kind of like straps coming from her, from her shoulders all the way down, connecting to her. It was like
A lot.
too much.
It's a lot.
It's too much.
But I ain't going to let y'all talk about Monica too long. Leave that girl
Yeah,
alone.
we'll leave
But
her
she
alone.
been saying. She been saying.
I liked Common and Erykah Badu, too.
Yes, that freestyle, I was here for it. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
they
yes.
still got it. I was like, that's
Exactly.
so dope.
That was a dope.
I love
that was a dope performance.
I did love that.
She's just a free spirit, and
Yeah.
she always delivers an amazing performance. But I
Yeah.
have 2 shout outs. One, I just want to shout out the old school tribute to Cece Pennison, Robin S., and Crystal Waters. like that's my era of like, you know, getting out of high school, going into college, started going to the clubs.
You be po.
Now, why was we watching that video? And Adam is like, all I can think about is that sketch from
from the Pilot. Yabba dabba dee. Yabba dabba doo.
I be rich, you be po. Shout out to Kim Wayans.
Yes.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I'm
that was a
telling you,
cute
like,
little performance too.
and they sang their little hearts out, so I was here for it. CeCe Peniston shut it down, and you know you got a bop when everybody in the entire audience was singing along right there with her. So I was like,
even when half of them weren't even born, and half of them weren't even born when that song came out.
And she looked really good, body snatched, hair looking good, skin looking tight.
You know, this is what I always think about, like, for, like, kind of on the same topic, just the amount of sheer wigs and weaves in that audience, why there aren't enough or a lot of Black people owning wig companies and weave companies. Like, we're giving a lot of money to people outside the community for shit that we wear all day, every day. I think that
Who started a new wig? One of y'all posted, but someone started a new wig company. A wig line. Who was it?
I don't think anyone started. I know Tracy Ellis Ross started that new pattern.
She has a hair care product. Hair care product, yeah.
But I think that all the time, I'm like, this is stuff that we need to do. It's just like, we're giving a lot of money outside the community, and we're not bigging up our own selves, and we're going to continue to spend this amount of money on it.
It's only been, so one, you're absolutely right. Two, if you'll remember back in the day, there was that documentary that I think Chris Rock did about Black girl hair.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, we haven't had just a national conversation within the Black community or even like the Latino community about being entrepreneurs. And that has been more part of the conversation lately because people are waking up to, like, you know, we're spending all this money. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, $45 billion spent on hair. And it keeps growing. And, you know, not hardly any of that, not even 1% of that is going back into the Black and brown community. So,
at all,
you know, but that's starting to change.
It needs to. It needs to. I'm about to start me a line in a minute.
Right. But
just
back
for
to
these
Black
episodes.
Girls Rock, though. But back to Black Girls Rock. The focus on our queens.
Well, I mean, they could be rocking with these wigs. I want them to own it as well. Like, they should be.
But regardless, they all looked fine in their wigs.
Oh, definitely. Oh, for
everyone looked good. Like I said, like, it reminded me of church. You can just tell people walked out of there like
energy.
Yeah, like, you know, they were just re-energized and like, all right, let's go do this. Let's go get this. Yeah. You know, I thought it was beautiful.
You know how like BET, and I just have to commend BET for like their continued investment in these award shows and the legitimacy of these shows. Because, you know, back in the day when they started, the award shows were kind of rough. And they've come a long, long way. But I love the fact that they're really kind of getting into this whole idea of like lifting the community up, and like shows like Black Girls Rock is so important. You know, we talk about representation and how important it matters. You know, just being a person of color or being part of the LGBT community. But also, you know, just the idea of like, you know, from a gender perspective, you know, women have been getting the short end of the stick for the longest time. And I just love that the entire spirit of the entire 2.5 hours of a program that aired was all about uplifting and celebrating the contributions that women have done through their own authenticity and through their own delivery, and for them being their authentic selves and not being apologetic about who they are and how they show up. Like, I love that message.
One of the things you guys missed, because you guys, you know, only had time to watch YouTube videos, but the commercials, actually, there were a lot of commercials about just bringing the community together and telling people like, hey, come home, like come back to BET. Like, we got all this stuff going that's pro-Black, you know, like it finally felt like it was getting back to that Black entertainment stage. And then I think they even had like some queer POC people in some of the commercials too. That's good. That I was kind of like, okay, all right, I see some change. Okay, we'll see. And by the end of the program, I was like, you know what? Because we talk about this all the time. BET Plus is going to get my money. because we talk about it. I'm gonna be about it. We talk about supporting our people.
That's true. That's true.
And even if I may not like all the shows, I know I'm gonna like at least 2. That's gonna be worth my money. So, and I'm gonna live in that. But at least I can say I'm doing it for the culture, for our people.
And they got that First Wives Club with Jill Scott coming out too.
I want to see that show too.
I kind of want to see that too.
I want to see that too. So.
Well, you let me know how that goes, because I've never been an early adopter. I've always been a fast follower. So, you let me know what 2 episodes or 2 shows that you like, and then
he'll
maybe
come
it might
around
be worth it for
and
you to come around.
And
I'll binge it all.
I'll be black, and I'll be like, here's my login, sis. Like,
right. You right.
You know I am.
And that's how their whole clientele is gonna be. They'll be like, how we only got 2 subscribers, but this thing is streaming millions.
But the killer part about it is, like, even Apple TV, like, they have their subscription service, and it's like $4.99 a month or whatever, which is decent. But if you'll remember, Netflix started out at $4.99 a month, and now they're at 11 and some change, up to 14 and some dollars. So
and then plus what Apple's doing. If you get a new phone or Apple Watch or TV or whatever, they're going to give you a subscription free for the first year. So that's how they're going to get you. They're going to get you hooked on all the stuff. Right. The next thing you know, they go like $19.99 a month. And you're going to be like, bitch.
Right. Yeah, Netflix is luckily Netflix is free in my T-Mobile account. So they pay for my Netflix every month. So.
I got about 17 people on my Netflix account.
Yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about that.
Told y'all about my Hulu.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Netflix, did y'all watch the Dave Chappelle special?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny too. There were points where I was laughing, but I was like, "Ooh, I know I shouldn't be laughing," but that was funny. It was.
But that's
funny.
What a comedian does,
right? I absolutely agree, and that's what, like, for me, it's just like, and my cousin said it well. Like, he did his job. His job was to make you laugh. It was to make you laugh. Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that.
And I feel like Dave's smart too. Like, his always has some kind of moral underlining. Like,
he makes
you laugh at stuff that you're like,
language, though. But the language is still very tone deaf. The language is still very typical, straight Negro, just disrespect. Like, it is, And I think that's where some people are getting some of the frustration but at the same time, like, a joke can't be as funny if you're so proper in which
conscious about the language of it.
Yeah, you're gonna lose a lot of the comedy in it.
I think the thing that I appreciated about his delivery, because Dave Chappelle is a really hyper intelligent, hyper aware individual, and he's not going to use language just for the sake of using it and just for shock value. So I think there was an element of meta in his whole kind of like comedic delivery. And what I mean by meta is it is a hyper self-awareness that you're calling out that you are aware that you are aware. Mm-hmm. And that's like this, that's what meta means. And so there was a moment in his whole show where he's talking about, like the backlash that he got for, making fun of like trans people. And at the end of the day, he's a comedian. And I don't think that listen, people are going to get upset and get in their feelings. You can't control the way that people feel or react to what you say and what you do. You can't control that. So, the idea that he could have done this and should have done that. And, it's all speculative, because no matter what you do, somebody's going to get offended at some point, or it's just not going to be funny. And in my view, the purpose of a comedian is to find the funny in anything. So, and he had a really interesting point. Like, how is it that he can say the word nigger 50 million times on his talk show, but he can't say the word faggot?
I thought that joke was so impactful, because it also goes back to showing where his mind was when he was doing Chappelle's show and why he left. Because he gets and understands a lot of the things that people are harping out there about transgender, about black people, about the gay community, et cetera, et cetera. He understands it. And like Dewan said, I don't think he picks and chooses his words for shock value. He picks and chooses his words because A, that's what people are saying. And then B, he picks and does it because he knows that's going to be the funnier way for you to get to the moral underlining of his joke.
But comedy is subjective. At the bottom
That's
of the line,
true, too.
it's subjective because we could tell a joke and the three of us laugh, and then I can go to another group and tell that same joke and nobody laughs. It's subjective, and so there can't be a black and white when it comes to comedy. Just because there's a lot of gray and it works for some and it doesn't work for some. I don't know. However, though, hold on, let me finish. That I don't think so. I don't think so because if you are gray, then you would have to cater to those who would have the hurt feelings.
I guess what comedian's not gray?
You don't know any, because
I was about to say, so I think that's what the field is. So there's always going to be someone hurt since the beginning of time, even going back to like Richard Pryor and shit like that. People are like, oh my God, bah humbug.
Yeah, it's always been like that. But I mean, the difference is now, like there's been such a huge push in the culture change though, as far as like being proper, even like using pronouns and stuff like that. I mean, like that wasn't a big thing back then, but now it's a huge thing now. Like there has been a shift and more voices and things that make people uncomfortable. And I don't think it's our place, and nor should we ever quiet those voices. If someone's hurt from it, then you be hurt about it because you are entitled to that. But at the same time, don't try to be like, well, because I feel this way, you can't do this. That's not how it works. At the same time, check your own feelings. Maybe you just need to just let that person live in their feelings. Maybe that's their truth. Maybe that's how they're feeling. If you want them to respect how you're feeling, you also kind of have to respect what they're feeling. But I wanted to go back to what Dewan had mentioned about the part that he said, how could he say nigger 100,000 times, but then get, yelled at for for saying the word faggot. I hated that part. I still do.
Oh, really?
And yep, because it's just like, if I don't want a fucking white person saying the goddamn N-word, I don't want no straight man saying faggot. Point blank. Don't slide in my DMs.
I think that's what he was saying.
That was exactly what his point was.
Yeah, that was his point.
The point was, is that why is it not okay for me, not okay for him as Dave Chappelle to say it, but why is the network okay with him using that slur, but they're not okay with using another slur? And that was the whole point.
No, wait. So his point was the joke. His joke was that he couldn't say faggot, correct?
No, his point, it was that and the slur of it. It was both of them. And then because he was checking also her thing saying, because her response was, because you're not gay. He's like, well, I'm also not a nigger. And that was the joke,
right?
And that was the underline of the moral of both of them.
No, because that's a dumbass fucking joke. No, because
I think we're gonna go
no. Yeah, we about to go there.
It's not a no.
It could be a yes. We are gonna go there because
it could be
if
a
that's
yes
the case, then black folks don't have the right to be mad at the N-word, right? If it's directed towards black folks,
that's not the point that he's making.
That wasn't the point.
That's not the point that he's making. The point that he was making was it is okay for him to use a black slur, but not okay for him to use a gay slur.
So it needs to be all or nothing.
With the network. That was the point.
Okay.
And it wasn't whether he should be able to use it.
Right.
It's the fact that he can't use it.
Exactly.
It's a law that says that you will be fined or taken off the air if you use a gay slur, but if you use another slur like the nigger slur, that there's no consequence to that.
No, I'm still on the other side. I'm still on the other side.
That's okay. I mean, that's quite all right.
That's exactly how I feel about the N-word. That's how I feel about the N-word. Like I wouldn't want a straight man to do it, and I wouldn't want a gay man to, it's not the same.
No, we hear you on that. But here's the thing, Boo. Since clearly there's two sides, and you said you're on the other side, that's what I keep saying about there's gray. That right there tells you two sides mixed together is gray. And so for you to feel strongly that way, we might feel strongly this way, and that's okay. But there's always this spectrum is what we always preach on this show. So it's not always yes and no. It can't be, or we don't have a podcast.
But what I know other people are talking about, though, is that, like, if you are aware of that and you're still choosing not to I guess, play into both sides like that in a way that matters to both sides.
I think that was, at least that's how I took the joke. That's how I took the joke.
If the other side didn't, did the person really did it? Because if they did, then the other side wouldn't feel that way, right?
Wait, say that first part of that sentence.
So if he played to the other side that wouldn't like that, they wouldn't be in an uproar had he actually played into that side.
I don't think that his intention was that everything that came out of his mouth was an actual like joke. Like there is a punchline, meaning a joke, meaning there's a punchline. A part of his comedic styling is observational humor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And there gets to a point at the very end, where there's a little bit of a joke attached to the end, but you have to go along the journey to get the context in order for the joke to make sense.
Explain it to me. I understand. The community does.
I just want to explain because I want to get this out because, you know, y'all had your little, and I want to get my words out too. So I think it's important for people to understand that just because you have a comedian doesn't mean that everything that comes out of their mouth is a joke.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very strong, people are taking offense to words that are being used, but not looking at the context in which those words were being used or the intention of how he meant, what's the point of sharing that information. Sometimes it is important for you to confront people. And I'm not saying all the times, and I'm not saying it's always effective. So let's not go there. But I'm saying sometimes, and I use my words very specifically, sometimes it is important to confront people with the very thing that they're interested in. Just like we had this whole conversation about this individual that didn't feel comfortable going into black spaces. And then you sat up there and said, well, maybe we don't want you there. Sometimes you have to confront people with the hypocrisy of their language in order for them to get the point. That's what he was doing.
Yeah,
exactly. So although that wasn't a joke and it might not have been funny for people, it was an observation about what was going on and him making a point that, listen, I'm just a comedian trying to make people laugh. And the way that I get to do that is by talking about things that are a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people need to start doing, though, too. And I think it needs to be less on the comedians and more so on the people who are actually taking the time to watch it, for instance. Like, we all know who Dave Chappelle is. His style, his method of how he is as a comedian is new to people. He's always been a person that pushes the envelope. So, going into watching Dave Chappelle, he probably going to say something that's going to push one button or ruffle a feather here or there. So that's on you to take the time to go watch that. Just like
and
when
he
people
said it in the stand-up. He said, everyone's going to...
You
and he's
clicked
called
on
it
my
out.
face.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what he
like, you
said
clicked
in the
on
first
me.
5 minutes of the show.
Right. And then that's what I said. That's what I said, like, at the beginning of this, like I said, I agree that he did his job, which is make it funny. But also I understand the side of people still being offended. But people also have to be... Instead of blaming necessarily the comedian all on them, people also who watch or go to comedian shows or stand-up comedy need to take the responsibility on subjecting them own selves to that. Like, you bought a ticket, you knew what you were getting into, and you didn't like what you went to. That's not on the person doing the show. That's on you. Stay your ass at home.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 1,000%.
And I watched The View. Whoopi Goldberg said this too, because she spoke about it. She says before she starts any show, she always said, "I'm gonna talk about this, 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 and this. If you don't like it, there's a door right now before I start." And I was
I agree with you 100%. There is a difference between spreading hate and telling a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And his job was to tell a joke and to tell several jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I appreciate about his comedic approach, even with the Chappelle show, he talked about things that you weren't supposed to talk about on TV. He did the whole skit about R. Kelly. He did the whole skits about
the nigger family.
Yes.
Like, he always has a way of pushing that envelope to make you feel uncomfortable about your own biases.
And if you listen to him in interviews or read him in interviews, he said the reason that he does that is to spark conversation. And I think what we're having right now, this open dialogue it's exactly what he's trying to do. So
I don't disagree.
I think you don't have social change in the spirit of respecting people's differences and understanding the importance of language without first confronting people with their known or unknown biases that may be prohibiting that change from happening.
Yeah,
so
but
what he's doing,
both sides though. Like that same argument can be used for those who are still bothered by it, because it's not up to the person who's bothered by it to be the one that have to accept it. Like, there has to be a middle ground as far as what is actually being said by the comedian and what's also being felt by the person that is also listening or there. Like, it can't just be on one side. And that's what I was saying. Like, we can't just blame Dave Chappelle.
I don't think you've heard that from us.
Right. But that's my point. That's what I'm saying now. And that's why I was speaking on the other end too, because it's important that we also speak about the other side.
And here's the thing. Like, I think I agree with DeJuan on this, where I don't think Chappelle is not a shock jock. He's a shock jock with a moral underlining. The reason he uses his specific words and specific skits and things like that is to address things that are happening in our culture. He's not doing it just to say, oh, I want to say trans, this and that. No. He always has an underlying thing that challenges our thought process and our biases.
I think there can always be a better way.
That's where a lot of people,
that just feel dismissive to me. There should be a better way.
That's for you, but I'm just saying for me. I hear you for you. Hear me for me. I'm saying for me, I don't think he ever does that just for the sake of being shockful. I think he does it in a manner that he's like, I'm challenging you to think differently or completely or bigger. And I feel like a lot of times what happens now is a lot of people don't watch the full stand-up. They probably see the clickbait out there. They see the Twitter things of what he said in one little instance, and they're not watching the totality of this stand-up, of what his whole freaking stand-up was about, was challenging the faggot word, the nigger word, and all these things that are going on right now. And so if you didn't take the time to watch the totality, I don't want to hear you, because you're doing the clickbait stuff and you want to get in your feelings. But if people have actually watched the whole thing and are now in their feelings about it, okay, let's have the conversation of why you're in your feelings. And did you really get the joke? Did you get the context of the joke? If you did, okay, so be it.
But if they didn't, then what?
But if you didn't watch the whole thing?
No. I'm talking about if they watched the whole thing and still didn't get it, then what?
Didn't get the joke, then we need to have a conversation to help you get the joke.
No.
And to get to understand the joke.
But see, that's the point that I was making. It shouldn't be up to the person to just get the joke. Like, sometimes shit's not funny. And that's the truth. And to be honest, like, still to this day, people still fight over jokes because, like, a joke has a limit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see how even in our own community, just like how ignorant we can be, how something so even like a game of basketball, a pickup basketball, can turn out to something way worse. Okay,
yeah, I get all that.
Right. So, but that's my point. Like, that can go for several different instances, and that this could be one of them.
But okay, I understand your point. What was my point? Did you understand mine?
Your point is, So your point was all about. He's not doing it to be hurtful. He's not doing it to, like, bring someone down or to be homophobic or to be racist or sexist or whatever the case is. Like, he's not coming out of this place of hatred. Okay, but that still doesn't mean it's not hurtful. You can say something wrong to someone and still come across as being nice about it. You can also say something nice to someone, but a person still take it as disrespect.
Right, and I get that, but I think the point on my end to extend that is if a person's telling you, here's my context, and I'm telling you I'm not coming from this place, now it's from a place that you were seeking that out.
No,
That's
it's
what
not.
You wanted to hear.
No, because if someone's telling you how they feel, you should also give a damn about that person's feeling.
But hold on,
let's
back up for a second.
It's a two-way street.
To go there. If a person is telling you that I am not doing that, how can you continue to tell them that they are?
Because of how because of how it makes you feel. Like, come on now.
But I'm just saying, we have that conversation.
No. I'm just saying, like, if I'm telling someone that they are disrespecting me, and they say, "Oh,
it's our community. We're getting a little heated, but it's all good."
If I'm telling you that you disrespect me or I'm feeling disrespected,
right?
Point blank. If you sit there and you don't give a damn that I'm telling you,
but that's not what I said. I did not say I don't give a damn.
But
that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Let's replay it back when you hear this episode.
But now you are not listening, because I'm not talking about the necessarily words out of your mouth. I'm talking about the point I am making. I'm not talking about what you said. I'm talking about my point. My point is, if I am telling you or anyone is telling you that you are doing something to them that makes them feel uncomfortable, part of meeting in the middle is also caring about the fact that that person felt some way.
Correct. I agree with that statement. However, you didn't hear my last statement. I'm not going to rehash it because we need to move on. But I hear you, boo. But my point is, if a person is also telling you that I hear you and I'm sorry for that, and that's not the place I am coming from, then where's the middle on your end then? Like, do you still want to be in your feelings about it because you still took it that way? And I'm telling you, I didn't.
So the middle is then you stop pressing and you don't hold it against the person, but you both sides.
But I think you're holding it on your side is too. So that's what I'm just saying. It's like, where's that middle ground?
I'm not holding it on my side. It's. I'm just saying, like, you gotta. Both sides have to be able to be like, this is right. Like you like to say, it can be this and that. It don't have to be this or that. It can be this and that. And that's my point. Right. Like, this can be the point that Dave Chappelle is making. This is how he is a comedian. And the other part is that this is how that made other people feel. And both of those can exist. That was my point.
Just for 1 second, if just going back to like the whole comedy routine, when he opened the show, he was very frank with the entire audience.
Yes.
He's like, listen, some of y'all are not going to like the things that I'm going to say today. And just remember that you guys chose to watch this. You guys chose to click on my face. You guys chose to participate in this. And I'm going to be talking about some things, and I'm going to say some things that you are not going to like. You know, these is jokes. And so no one's disagreeing that people have a right to feel offended because he said some things or used some language that they didn't agree with. There are people that don't agree with anybody using curse words.
True.
Does that mean that as a person, that as people, we should never use curse words because there's one person out there that, you know, that your grandma doesn't want you using curse words and talking about sex and pussy and all that kind of stuff? No.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't, yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
But you know what I mean? Like, there is a limit.
Okay.
There was a limit. There was a limit to how much we need to amend like our outward expression of who we are based on how we think people will receive it. And there's that old adage, and I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but you guys know it. You know, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time.
Yeah.
And what I take from that is not a blatant disregard for people's feelings or taking the opportunity because you can't please everybody. You should be a rebel and a maverick and just like do whatever you want. Damn the circumstances. It's not about that. I think what Dave Chappelle was doing, and he was very upfront with people, is like, hey, I'm trying to prove a point. I'm trying to expand your horizons, and I may reach you and I may not. And if I don't, that's okay. And I think people are missing that point. They're so focused on trying to change his message and his delivery and the things that he should have said or not have said that they didn't listen to the first part, which is you as a human being have a right to opt out of this conversation.
Absolutely.
And you chose not to do that. So the people that are getting all of their feelings over what he said, they're just ignoring the fact that they have some responsibility in it too. He's not spreading hate.
Right.
He's not spreading hate. He's not saying trans people are terrible. And, you know, that he's not like, you know, saying like, oh, well, that's this joke about me being a Chinese guy in a black person's body is derogatory towards Asian individuals. That's not what he's saying. He's making a joke, and he gave you as a human the opportunity to say, if you don't want to be in a situation, put yourself in a situation where you're going to get in your feelings because I'm going to push some buttons tonight, and you chose not to opt out, then you do not have the right to come back later and say that I did an irresponsible thing because I gave you the disclaimer.
And I don't think he did it irresponsibly as well. Like, that wasn't his intent. That wasn't his context. Dave Chappelle never does that. Like, there's a totality of a underlying thing that's going on culturally in every stand-up that he does that there's a message behind that.
I'm going to speak. I still stick up for the little guy.
I hear you, girl.
You know, and y'all know me. And you know, normally I'm the one I'd be like, Normally I'm with y'all.
doing that the whole time.
No, I mean, like, normally I'm the one on y'all side being like, fuck your feelings, like, get out the fucking feelings. Normally that's me.
That's true.
So this is different from me being on this side. But like I said, I think
we
he did a
found
good
another
job.
thing you cared about, girl.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Split it up to 6.
right. Look, now 6 things. 6 things that I care about.
She got 6 feelings now.
6 feelings. And don't get me wrong. Like, I thought it was funny. Like, again, I laughed. But there were moments where I laughed and I was like, I still felt at the same time where that could have been taken the wrong way.
Totally.
And, yeah,
and I think that's what all comedians ultimately want, honestly. They want you to feel uncomfortable and uneasy. Whatever line people have, and whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the job of a comedian.
We also have our triggers where, like, that just isn't a sensible thing, and there are certain things that he does say that could be triggers for other people, and there isn't. Sure. It's no longer about, he's doing, this. It comes from a place that is just, for them personally, is bigger than his job. It comes to a point that it's more of a personal thing and less about someone doing their job.
I would love to hear from the community, like, what was your takeaway from it? Like, were there things that, we just talked about a whole lot because we have this platform.
This episode got a little heated. A little bit. We sweating a little bit.
We got a little behind the knee sweat.
Right.
But
not the behind the knee sweat, though. Everybody knows what it feels like, too.
Right. But I would just love to know, like, from the community, like, how did you guys take it? Because, obviously, we're using this platform to elevate the at least trying to elevate the conversation. I couldn't even get it out my mouth. Talking to your grandmas about fucking and pussy.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
But no, for real, like I'm genuinely curious about, like, what you guys took away from it, because, there's so many different sides to this story, and we might not even be hitting on, like, there may be other elements of the Dave Chappelle
for sure
scenario, and not just the performance, but like the scenario and the quote unquote backlash that we're just not even picking up on. So love to hear from you guys. What were some of your takeaways? What are the things that we're not talking about? What opinions do you have about the situation? What voices haven't been heard? Let us know. We'll put a post out there and, give you guys the opportunity.
A poll or something. Yeah. To just see if they faux Chappelle or not Chappelle or faux FEAX Chappelle or whatever. Anyway, but are there other things coming out this fall, TV previews that you've seen that you're like, okay, I want to check this out, that's either pushing buttons or looks funny or whatever it may be?
So Physic and I watch a lot of TV. A lot
Me
of
too,
fall
girl.
TV. Yes, Dewan do too. And so, like, this week they finally started coming out with a lot of the previews for, like, the next coming up seasons and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to How to Get Away with Murder. I believe it's the final season.
The last
It's
season.
the last season too.
Yeah.
So
I need to catch back up on that one.
I want to say, like, season 3 fell off for me, or was it season 4?
And that's where I fell off on it.
Yeah, I think it was season 3
fell off.
Yeah, season 3 fell off, and I was like,
But it picked back up.
It picked back up. The 4th season got messy. There was a lot that happened in the 4th season.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
So don't say nothing.
last
season was pretty decent.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it ended way weird.
It did.
Weird. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, that's it. It's not coming back. Like, there was no, like, big cliffhanger that, like, just left you, like, wanting more. It just stopped coming on. I was like, the fuck?
Okay.
So that was kind of weird. Grey's Anatomy. Can't wait for that to come back. I'm wondering what's up with Dr.
don't say
Bay
nothing.
Avery.
Okay, I closed my ears on that one.
You ain't watched it, girl?
Grey's Anatomy?
No.
Oh, no,
It ain't
I
a
haven't.
spoiler. How far are you behind?
Oh, a little bit.
Okay,
Like,
see, this ain't no spoiler, sis.
that's true. But no, I want to pick back up on Grey's because I loved Grey's a lot. And then I fell off. I feel like we moved and, like, I just missed, like, the last 2 seasons. And so I'm all over the place. So those are the two shows that
the
I
season
loved
before
and
last
fell
was
off.
meh. This last season was okay. It got better towards the end.
Okay.
But yeah, we finally got, like, no, I'm not gonna say
Oh,
nothing.
no, don't say nothing.
It's not a spoiler because you ain't watching.
It's true. I know, but I want to.
I'm being nice. Now I got 7 feelings, 7 things I care about.
See?
We're moving on up in this world. Come
okay,
on now,
look. I'm going to be a brand new woman in 2020, y'all.
Oh, Jesus. I don't be watching TV that heavy. Like, I go in spurts. And then plus, like, Corey watches, like, all the Housewives. So that's usually what's on. Mm-hmm. And then I watch, like, a lot of YouTube stuff now, it seems. One show that we both love that's coming back for its last season was Transparent. That's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a good show. And it's going to be interesting just having another season. Or I think they're kind of doing like almost some kind of musical thing. I don't know what they're doing. Because it's Jeffrey Tambor was on that show. And then he started doing all the sexual harassment on set. And they got rid of him. Mm-hmm. And he was a main character of that show. So it's going to be interesting what they do with that show. What else is coming? I don't know. I'd be picking up random stuff that maybe people on Facebook mention and be like, okay, I'll check it out here and there.
I had two, like, I was really into like Game of Thrones and The Americans, and there was a couple other that like just like series that I've been watching for a long time that aren't coming back. So like going into this fall, I now have like open space to like take on new series. But I will say I'm excited about Mixish. So that's the spinoff of.
I wanted to do so well.
I do too. I never really got into, so I've been watching Blackish. I never really got into Grownish. I just never really gave it a chance. But because I just think for me, it really was a storyline, or I just really wasn't interested in following her story into school or whatever. But I've been sticking
it's actually
with
quite good. I think you will like it.
I hear that.
I think
I might binge it after it's been on a couple of seasons. I'll binge it a little bit later. But like,
I was about to say this is season.
I'm not catching up on it right now. Yeah. I got other stuff I'm worried about.
I'm just not doing that.
I'm still trying to get through Sopranos. So
you're right.
Right.
But no, I am. There's only a certain number of shows that I actually watch like live. And so like I feel like that's a show that I would watch live. And then Schitt's Creek, the whole season is actually coming on to Netflix. So I'm going to binge that from start to finish because I am not watching that one episode at a time. I just can't do the wait. So
it's good. Yeah.
So
it's good. The fifth
what
season's
channel does
good.
that even come on?
It comes on Pop TV. So it's a Canadian show. And so it was on Canada the first 3-4 seasons, and then Netflix bought it. And so that's how it really blew up because people were binging it and saying, "Oh, this show is awesome." So season 5 was this year, and it was still on the Pop TV app, but it has the commercials in it, so it is a little distracting.
Oh, it was on the Pop TV app.
Yeah, so that's how Corey and I watched season 5.
I could never find it. I'm like looking on the TV, like, this thing. It's on the app. Okay, that makes sense.
So it comes to season 5 comes on Netflix in October, like 10th or something now. So everyone's hyped up about that. But then season 6 that comes on next year is going to be their last season. So I'm sad about that. Because that show Corey and I love. Like, there's very few shows that we both just agree on, and that was one where we were just like.
Well, remember, I watched it because of you. I watched it because if people go back to some episodes ago, you said to watch it, and I was like, oh no, I tried to get into it, and I binged all of it. There were definitely some times I was like, fast forward.
Yeah. There's some slower moments, but then there's some moments where you're like, this is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mixish is one new one that I'm really excited about and interested in because I just love that the aspect of being able to show the dynamics of an interracial family and what does that mean, and just kind of the quirkiness of her coming from like a commune, or a cult, like a cult into like reality. So I think that'll be really interesting for the play off that. And then there's this new show that's called Why Women Kill. Have you guys heard about that?
Yeah.
So
I want to see that.
I forget what channel it's on. I think it's like network, like CBS or something like that. But it stars Lucy Liu and a couple others. And basically it's almost kind of like the first season of what's that series called? The one that Ryan Murphy does.
American Horror Story?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first one where they were in the house. So it's almost kind of like that, where it's a house and it shows 3 different decades where the women in that house, different women in that house during those different decades were serial killers.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different show. What's the show I'm thinking of with Retta in it? Where they're moms and they're like robbers or something like that. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, you're thinking about, is it Good Moms? No.
It's like...
You talking about the 3 moms where they go rob, whatever. I think it's called Good Moms, right? Or something like that.
Anyway, that's what I was thinking. So, wait, this show you're talking about has Lucy Liu in it?
It has Lucy Liu. It's called Why Women Kill. And it's supposed to take place over several decades, I think. And don't quote me on this because, she has a bad memory. But I think it's like the 50s, the 70s, and the 90s or something like that. So it's like decades apart.
Okay.
And
yes, as a housewife in the 60s, a socialite in the 80s, and a lawyer in 2019.
There you
each
go.
dealing with infidelity in their marriages. Okay. Oh, but it's on CBS All Access. Do you have CBS All Access?
She does.
I got it, girl.
She does.
Yeah.
She was watching. She was watching.
Star Trek.
She was watching. Yeah,
Star
you're
Trek
right.
and Twilight Zone. So, yeah, I'll share my code with you so you can watch it too.
Why women
But I'm
care.
really looking forward to. I think that just as a concept, that's just really, really good.
Yeah.
And then Power is on right now, but I'm waiting for it to all the episodes to air. Then I'm going to binge that this fall.
I know I haven't watched any Power, but people be loving them some Power.
Power,
they do.
Especially down here in Atlanta. Like, I feel like it's a very black POC show. Because people down here in Atlanta be living for some Power.
It's so good. It's so good.
Look, my timeline is numb but Power every single night when it comes out. I'm like,
damn.
I don't watch it. But okay, I guess I need to catch up with the time. Yeah,
It is so
another
good.
good show that I'm excited for, and it's the last season, is The Good Place.
Oh, see, I never saw that one.
I never saw that one either.
It's kind of funny. It's actually really funny. I enjoy it a lot.
Is that the one with Ted Danson?
Yes, and God, what's her name? Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, It's actually really funny. I enjoy that. I was like, okay, yeah, it's a cute little play on heaven and hell, and like,
right,
yeah, because they think they're in heaven, but they're actually in hell, and they try to actually get to real heaven, and it's like this whole ordeal, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
And then shout out to Lily Singh. I think that's how you say her last name. She is taking over the Late Late Show, and she's a bisexual woman, and I think she might be of Indian descent.
Oh,
she was on YouTube heavy, and then they snatched her from YouTube and put her in Carson Daly's old Late Late Show spot, and it's called A Little Late. So that's coming up here. in
that's
the fall.
awesome. Good for her.
So shout out to her.
Yeah, because you don't see like
you don't see women that late, or on late night TV. You don't see LGBTQ community, and you don't see a POC.
Yeah,
so
who
trifecta.
all have had like a late show? Because I remember Joan Rivers at one point, like she was the first one. Well, she was one of the first ones to do even host for Johnny Carson way back in the day. But then she ended up getting her own show. But I'm just trying to think, like, who
What's
else
the other
as a
blonde girl?
woman?
The other blonde girl,
Chelsea Lately.
Chelsea
Lately
Handler.
was on.
Yeah, Chelsea.
Oh yeah, I
Chelsea
guess that
Lately.
does count as a late show. Yeah.
But I'm sure we're missing somebody, like some defunct.
I'm just
shows
trying
that
to,
were
yeah,
on
I'm trying to think of
season,
like
but
that interview style kind of like format, not like
it
some,
hasn't been
because I know
many
like,
at all.
yeah, because like there's a bunch of stuff that's happened on like Comedy Central or whatever, but I don't really count those. Like I'm really, and no shade to Comedy Central, but like, like your 1 hour episode doesn't compare to like, having like a 3-segment
right.
talk show
So you're
that's
talking about like
on 5 days a week.
Your traditional network.
5 day a week,
Right.
nighttime
There's not been
interview
many.
style. Yeah.
There's not been many at all. So shout out to her. So I'm gonna at least watch it. But the Late Late Show for like that Carson Daly spot came on at like 1 a.m. So I doubt I'm going to be watching it live. But I'll catch it up on YouTube because nowadays you got to put everything on YouTube. If not, you're going to be late. And shout out to Tamron Hall. She has a new talk show. Remember Tamron was on Today's Show and she got fired for, I think, like Billy Bush or somebody, and then Billy Bush shit blew up, and then he got fired. So they kicked her off. Now she has her own new daytime show. So I saw a couple clips already the last few days of her show. So I'm gonna support her just because I liked her on the Today Show, And I think they did her greasy, so I'm gonna support my little Tamron Hall. So yes.
Do we know whatever happened to the RuPaul show? I know it was on his 6
I don't know
weeks.
if it got picked up or not.
I heard nothing about it.
I know it was a test run,
Right.
and then he has like 94 more seasons of Drag Race coming. I know season 12, and then the UK season's coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if his talk show got picked up from, say, like next year or what.
Okay.
So
I was just wondering.
But, so, community, let us know what are you guys watching? What are you excited to watch? Let us know some new shows, especially Dewan and Jarrell, because they be on it.
We sure do.
Honey,
I know.
all the time. Yes.
Did you see the season finale of Are You the One?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to watch it right after after we record.
Girl. Okay, text me on the sidebar, girl.
I can't wait. Yes.
Girl.
Trash and sass.
For real.
So yeah, community, let us know what you're watching. Continue to subscribe, download, share with your friends and family. And I think that's it. We'll see you next week.
Have a good Monday, y'all.
Have a good one, y'all.